Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is the big man Boisterous coming to you with some Mixed League Mania out of the tal'darim altar. Up here in the top right-hand corner, we have Polymath spawning in as the red Terran, and down here in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent Dread spawning in as the blue Zerg, and spamming, I'm guessing. I don't think APM spam works anymore, but he has this hatchery hotkey to like 5 things. I'm not sure if that's normal, because it's definitely not something I do. Yeah. That's interesting. Actually, they both have it hotkeyed to everything. Yeah, well, they're having a discussion about portrait farming, which is not the most legit of all things to do. I don't like portrait farmers. I'm sorry. Especially if they're cheesy portrait farmers. If you're portrait farming and you just cannon rush, I don't like you. I've run into too many, I'm sorry. And yeah. So they're talking about what league they're in. So of course this game is gold versus plat, which kind of ruins the facade of the Mixed League Mania game. It's all about the mystery of what league are these guys. So I can't really run that thing where I make you guys guess what league they are in the comments. Oh well, that's not really bad for anybody. I don't think anybody actually guessed it, but oh well. And Polymath of course saying that his worst race is Terran. But isn't everybody's worst race Terran? I mean, it's just put down barracks and marines. Psh, Terran. Ha. We have the spawning pool coming out from Dread. I think this was almost certainly a 14 spawning pool. I guess it might have been a 15 spawning pool because he didn't go for gas first. So this is going to probably be gasless FE. So he's just going to get this pool finished and then expand as soon as it is done. And that is looking like what he's going to do. So it's going to be a 16 hatch after a 15 pool, which is a fairly standard Zerg build order. It's something you see a lot because it's not like the most dangerous thing ever. If you are getting like six racks or anything like that on a map like tal'darim, you'll hold it off no problem just because you have that spawning pool out fast. Plus you have the advantage of an early queen, and getting queens out fairly earlier is nice. Because basically this hatchery doubles its production because of all the spawn larvae that are popping out. Plus the fact that you can drop a creep tumor here and really start your creep spreading early and get that creep in between your bases. So if there does come a time when you need to pull both your queens down to your expansion, you can do that quite easily. Anyway, we have Polymath getting both of his refineries up, a reasonable wall off at the front. No accessories going down in this barracks yet, and the hatchery just about to finish up from Dread. Dread, of course, just going for really heavy drone production right now. He has a reasonably non-existent Overlord placement, and is sending his Overlord over there right now, but it's going to take forever for it to get over there. The drone is scouting the front. I'm not sure if he can see the factory. Oh, he does just barely see the factory there, which is of course good for a Zerg player because knowing a factory is coming makes a factory much less threatening. And really, you want to be able to know exactly what the Terran's going for. Command center in base going down for Polymath at a fairly average time. He's probably going to turn this into an orbital, drop a couple of mules from inside his base, and then move it out to his expansion. And it looks like he's lifting up the factory, so the factory is going to be going down on this reactor that the barracks is currently producing. So we are going to see some Hellion play out of our Terran right now. And Hellion play against Zerg is actually pretty scary. Not so scary on this map just because it's kind of easy to defend. Because, you know, you can put down like an Evo chamber here and then you basically stop all Hellion harass because they can only really drive into your middle line and then maybe behind it, but it's easy to run your drones at that point in time. And usually people don't go into the mains. I see some people go into the mains, but it doesn't usually end well because you normally will just lose all your Hellions. And that's kind of the only thing that will happen. You might kill off like 3 or 4 more drones, which of course might be double the amount of drones, but you sacrifice all of your Hellions, and your Hellions are kind of your map control at that point, especially against the Zerg opponent. But yeah, we do have the single Hellion production out of a reactor factory. Up there's the second Hellion finally starting. We have a tech lab from the barracks, and that tech lab is of course going to get put onto a factory. So it looks like we're actually going to see a tech play out of our Terran player right now, which is interesting and good. I like tech plays a lot. Polymath is also moving his command center like 15 feet. Not quite to the expansion, just into a more expandable position. Interesting play to say the least. And I'd expect him to get a orbital command as soon as possible, just because orbital commands boost your eco rate so much. However, it does not look like he's going to be going for that. Maybe? Nah, Polymath is cool with it. Anyway, we have Dread. His speed is just about to finish up. Kind of a late speed, actually, considering the fact that it only takes 2 minutes. He started at like 6 minutes, which, again, fairly late speed. We have double Evo Chamber coming out from Dread, so it looks like he might be starting to go heavy into them upgrades. Of course, we have the Hellions coming out from both factories, actually, and Blue Flame on the way by our Terran player. So definitely not like amazingly creative. I mean, you see Blue Flame Hellion plays all the time, but it actually looks like it's going to be a Blue Flame Hellion elevator with the use of a medevac, which actually is kind of an interesting play on this map. I mean, it's a very, very good play because it gets you around these spine crawlers and this hatchery and all these Zerglings and that queen, and it puts you into a very nice position, especially behind mineral lands like this, where, you know, Zerglings, you're going to have to try to squeeze through one of like 4 different holes where they all line up into a straight line, and Zerglings in a straight line are very easy to deal with with Hellions. Like, I feel like you could have just straight up engaged the Zerglings in that position, and actually some nice micro coming out of our Terran player. Oh, that was scary. And actually, yeah, the Zerg player losing a lot of drones there for absolutely no reason. The Hellion is going to... Oh, he picks up the wrong Hellion. Oh, poor Hellion buddy getting killed. Anyway, this is kind of annoying for our Zerg player. I mean, this natural is basically rendered useless right now. None of the drones are mining anymore. I think we have 2 drones total mining out of this expansion, which is of course a big blow to our Zerg player, and he's pulling all of his drones back. And whenever I see a drone Congo line like that, I want a Hellion to hit it just so that I can freak out, because Hellions that kill a lot of stuff are awesome. Anyway, we have 5 workers killed by Polymath, making that 7, looks just like 8, I think. 8? Yeah, 8. So 8 workers have gone down for our Zerg player, which is nothing really all that major, especially when he's ahead by 17 workers. And actually, is this queen going to go down? That would be kind of major. Ooh, the queen gets away with 6 life. Is he going to drop a transmute with the other queen? Nope, the other queen doesn't want to help its friend. Psh. Actually, I doubt they're friends. This queen's probably a bitch. But anyway, no transmute going down from any of the queens, and yeah, that's... You have extra energy. You might as well just throw it at something. Oh well. I guess he doesn't want to. Well, Polymath, I think, finally deciding to give up on that attack with his medevac about to go down, because honestly, a couple more shots and that medevac would go down. And losing your medevac basically means that you lost all the Hellions in the base, and I don't think he wants to do that. I like this panda icon. Where did you get this panda icon? Is that from the WoW annual pass? Is this even a panda? It looks like a panda. I'm going to need to do some research on that, but that is almost certainly a panda. I'm sure. And of course, with that Miss Pandaria coming out, you know, it's just a logical conclusion that it's coming from WoW somehow. Now, of course, we have the Spired finished, getting +1 air weapons, and +2 Zergling melee attacks, which is interesting considering the fact that he's going for a lot of roaches right now. I guess he still has a fairly reasonable Zergling pack, and he's actually producing a lot of Zerglings. However, usually you see people, like, especially at this point in the game, start to get into their late game phase, well, especially when they're facing against the Terran that's kind of turtling this hard and they can't really put a whole lot of pressure on, other than just the harassment pressure of a Mutalisk. And even that harassment pressure is going to get stopped pretty hard with 4 missile turrets already in the back of the base. No missile turrets in the production lines, interestingly enough. However, I think the Thors are going to be able to hold it quite well. and these Mutalisks are actually just going to be returning back to their base. So those Mutalisks are definitely not very comfortable engaging into that. I feel like they're a bit afraid even. However, and there's actually only 9 Mutalisks, which is not that heavy of a Mutalisk number. The Zerg player has a fairly large supply lead, but I'm pretty sure that most of that supply is in workers. Yeah, he has 53 workers to 27 from our Terran player. So our Terran player is actually falling behind quite significantly in the worker count. I mean, double orbitals can kind of make up for that, and turning them into triple orbitals can kind of make up for that, to the point where you're going to be on par with your opponent's income, as far as minerals go at least. However, I feel like not having enough SCVs on gas might end up being the bane of his existence, especially when he's going for such a heavy gas play as Thor Hellion. Because Thors cost a lot of gas, so 200 gas a pop. And if he ever wants to drop like another factory and really get that pumping, he's going to probably need another expansion. Because, again, Thor's really, really expensive as far as gas goes. Now, we have all of these Zerglings kind of sitting around. Nothing really happening as far as any sort of engagement from either of our players. I guess we have these Mutalisk flock flying around, but they're not doing all that much. We have the Terran force just sitting still. And I think we've officially reached the mid-game lull, where everybody's kind of just over-droning like a madman. Jeez. This is... oh my god. This is around 24, 50, 20, 40? I think I got that math wrong, but 40 drones in one drone line is too much. There's 8 mineral patches, and they can support 3 apiece, plus 2 geysers that can support 3 apiece. So really, you only want 30. So this is approximately 10 too many drones that are just sitting in this mineral line. And yeah, this is kind of an awkward standoff with the Hellions just sitting there like staring down the Mutalisks. Even though I know that they couldn't see each other, it just kind of looked funny because their vision just barely crossed right here. Now, of course, the Terran army is finally getting into position to move out. The lone Banshee just kind of chilling up in the skies. However, these Thors, I feel, are going to be severely problematic for our Zerg player. You know, Thors, especially with magic boxing, Thors aren't amazingly effective versus Mutalisks. They basically are just huge targets for the Mutalisks to hit, which is good enough in its own right. However, I feel like... how many Mutalisks do we have out right now? We have 17 Mutalisks out, which is not like the most crazy of crazy Mutalisk numbers. However, with so many Zerglings out, that being 99 is a lot of Zerglings, I feel like this engagement is actually heavily favoring the Terran just because of so many Hellions, and the Hellions are going to be able to clean up those Zerglings without even letting them hit the Thors. And with Thors having really, really nice upgrades actually with 1-2, I feel like this attack is kind of going to go well for the Terran player. At the very least, he's going to do oh, that was awesome. Look at all the flaming Zergling corpses. Jeez, that was nasty. This is just cruel. God. The magic boxing mutas are doing pretty reasonably. However, that was a really nice engagement by the Terran player. All the Mutalisks going down. All the Thors are going to get wrapped up, or at least the low ground Thors. There's still a Thor in the high ground. However, that was... oh god, all those Zerglings getting roasty toasty. It's really nasty. Now, we have the wall of crawl going up basically everywhere for our Zerg player. And oh... I'm sad now. That was going to be so awesome. Jeez, all these drones just in a really tight pack. And are these... okay, they were going to this expansion. I thought they were going to like curve up and just go to attack the Hellions. Were they coming down here to attack the Hellions? Because they're down here in a random spot, and I think they were actually coming down here to encircle and attack the Hellions, which is of course an interesting play from a Zerg player, because Hellions counter drones pretty nicely. Actually, they were just going down there to prep for running up to this base, which, interestingly, I would have expected him to take this base. He tried to take this base. And even though that failed, I would have expected him to like take this base before he took either of the corners, because the corners are kind of hard to defend. Even if you have like the fastest moving army ever, because he doesn't have any creep spread. And creep spread is like one of those important things that if you want to have really spread out bases, you're going to need that sort of like creep to just be able to have that, because creep gives you awesome map vision because you see everywhere that there's creep. And usually you'll see Zergs have like half of the map under their vision. However, this guy doesn't have any of the map. He has a queen with 200 energy that he should just be running around dropping creep tumors with. So that's definitely a move that will get you bumped up another league, is dropping enough creep. Because if you can get really good at spreading creep, you will never lose to a marine tank push or anything like that, because you'll know exactly where they are. Engagements are always favorable for the Zerg on creep because it's easier to get surrounds, it's easier to get better angles, and it's easier to like move in on siege tanks and destroy siege tanks. So of course that means that the Terran, if he really wants to have a really nice chance of taking you down, is going to need to make these really small leapfroggy movements. We have an engagement happening at the Terran's front with 6 Thors and a lot of Hellions. However, the issue is that there's such a large number of roaches. And do they have speed boost? I can't tell. They look like they're moving a little bit slow, but you know, this might just be off creep roaches with speed. Oh well. It looks like the roaches are cleaning up fairly well, but that was a lot of roaches to die. However, the Zerg player, having the significant base advantage by 2 bases, can throw away roaches like that. He doesn't care. He don't care. And now I can finally check, and actually he does have speed. I'm just not used to seeing roaches engage off creep really all that much. Usually whenever I see roach plays, especially as far as people sending them in to me, they're crazy Nidus plays where they pull like... Actually, these roaches look significantly faster. Am I just going crazy? I think I might just be going crazy. Anyway, we have Polymath getting his real siege tank lineup. And this is the point where you need to get those Broodlords, you need to get those Ultralisks out, because otherwise you're just going to get cleaned up in any engagement. Because roaches, despite how good they are, they can't fight 3/3 siege tanks. It doesn't work like that. And actually the level 3 armor is about to come up. Level 2 missile attacks and level 3 Zerg ground carapace is coming out for our Zerg player. However, again, he needs to be getting like those, you know, Ultralisks out. He needs those heavy hitter, just tank line breaking units. And Broodlords are pretty good at that, but I don't like going for Broodlords because they're just easily countered by so many different things. Basically the only thing they're not countered by is like Thors. Because Marines are pretty good against Broodlords, as long as they can get up under the Broodlords, and Viking production is already starting for our Terran player, so he's already anticipating a switch to Broodlords after seeing those Mutalisks. So again, this is the spot where you want to go for Ultralisks, because Ultralisks are something that not a lot of people see coming. They're a lot better now than they were before because of the build time reduction, and honestly they kind of destroy tank lines, because they just take so much damage. Or like one Ultralisk will take the splash from 9 siege tanks, and it like will live with like just a little bit of life, or it will barely die. And then, you know, another volley of siege tank hits will go for another Ultralisk, and by then your Ultralisks are already in combat and just utterly cleaning up your opponent's forces. And just by the way, guys, if I fast forward this game as I get closer to the end, it's because my little fraps number turned pink, which means that I'm running out of space on my hard drive. And I think that happens at like below 10 gigs. So hopefully it'll only last like another 3 minutes after that. Otherwise, my computer might crash. Yeah. And it won't be good. It will not be good. We have the Terran player going for yet another move out, and I actually feel like this might be ill-fated for him because of just the pure roach numbers and the fact that there's not that many siege tanks. If he had like 7 or 8 siege tanks, I could see how this would be a really sick move out. However, he doesn't have those numbers and he's not sieging them up, and the Zerg player knows about this now. The roaches are coming in with a flank, and oh, they're gonna catch the Thors. Oh god, that is not good for a Terran player. They're actually going to get like surrounded by roaches. And none of these siege tanks are sieging up. He really needs to get these siege tanks into siege mode. But yeah, this is... Oh god, that was kind of nasty to watch a Terran player go down like that. Because honestly, I think he killed like a 1 queen. And now his Hellions are going to try to run through the wall of Crawl. And 3 of them actually do manage to run the gauntlet. I'm impressed. These Hellions are like the badass Hellion drivers. They don't care. They run by their own rules. Of course, we have a very large larva stockpile at all of these bases for our Zerg player, which makes switching techs amazingly easy. We have 14 Mulisks on the way, so I'm guessing he's hoping that his opponent is going to start going for heavier siege tank numbers and less Thors, because with tech plays, you don't have the versatile unit. You don't have the Marine, because the Marine is a unit that's good against a lot of things and great against some things that are really easy to tech switch to, and that not a lot of other units counter. For example, the Mutalisk. The Marines are freaking spectacular against the Mutalisk. They will destroy it so hard. Of course, roaches get cleaned up fairly well by siege tanks, especially 3/3 siege tanks. We have Ravens actually coming out for our Terran player, and Ravens are something that I really like because heat-seeking missiles keeps Mutalisks on the run. Unless you can pull out the one Mutalisk that has the heat-seeking missile attached to it, which you don't see a lot of people do, even though it basically renders them even useless because you just you just look for that line that's attaching to a Mutalisk. You click that one Mutalisk and you pull it on out, and that's really the best thing to do. We have a planetary coming up for our Terran player, and he is going to manage to stop the planetary from going up, which makes this a lot harder to secure because now he knows that the want to expand there is apparent. And yeah, he loses the command center, which is kind of a big hit. But he's mainly in an area where he needs gas. He doesn't so much need the minerals from that command center. And he also has, the orbital command with 140 energy and not really wanting to spend any of it on mules that do anything. This interesting. We have the Terran player kind of just trying to set up an area right in front of his base, which I don't know why he's setting up a position here. It's kind of not the most useful place to have a position. I can see like an expansion, a position on this ridge, or a position like here, a position on this ridge, but like right here, it blocks one entrance to your base. It doesn't even slow down the other entrance to your base. I mean, the Zerg units can just fly right up here and go right into this base, so it actually leaves 2 of your bases wide open. We have the Roach Army coming in, and are they actually... They're going to do exactly what I said. They're going to swing right up past this army. This army has no clue. Oh. And the Zerg player is, I think, going to snipe this pretty easily, because once these Thors go down, it's going to be absolutely no competition for the Mutalisks. And yeah, this expansion, I feel, is almost certainly going to go down. And yeah, there the command center catches on fire and dies, which is kind of a major hit for a Terran player because he's now back down to that amount of bases he had before, which is not that many. He does manage to trap the entire Zerg army up here, and he will blast through the entire Zerg army, but Zerg's fine with it. He has 10, 20, 35, oh god, 35, 44, yeah, he has a lot of larvae just stockpiling. He had 15, now he's actually using it all to make Zerglings and Corruptors. So this is going to be a pretty scary Zerg force. It's going to be Broodlord Zergling, which, I don't know. I like Broodlord Infestor more because Broodlings kind of fill the spot of the Zergling, especially if you have 23 Corruptors to turn into Broodlords and you turn all of those into Broodlords, then you don't need any Zerglings. They serve no purpose, essentially. Of course, we have the +3 missile attack finally coming out for his roaches, and these Broodlords actually, I can't see what upgrades are out there. 2-0 upgrades, and Zerglings, these Zerglings and their Broodling counterparts are going to be quite powerful. They're going to have 2-3 upgrades, which is pretty scary because those Broodlings can then take a lot of can then take a a large beating, and they just won't die. So you can't even like kill the broodlings or anything, which even that is a really bad idea in itself. So you can't even do like you need to basically micro against the broodlords, which is kind of annoying for a lot of Terran players. However, I feel like he's going to be able to pull it off quite well because he's getting these double starport production up. I think he already has a fair amount of Vikings. Actually, no, he does not. He has 3 Vikings. So if this engagement happens right now, it's going to go pretty solidly into the Terran player hands. However, or into the Zerg player's hands. However, oh god, the Zerg is about to reveal the fact that he has broodlords. Why? What? Oh, I'm so sad about that. Because honestly, if these broodlords came out of nowhere, like the Terran player would have died. The Terran player would have GG'd and left the game. There was no way he would be able to engage against broodlords, especially if they were kind of like surprise broodlords. However, now that the broodlords are known, he's just going to start throwing away supply like these siege tanks and attacking bases, and he's going to start remaxing his army as far as with Vikings and Thors essentially, because that's what you really need to deal with broodlords, is those heavy Viking numbers, which makes you susceptible to a lot of other things, such as say a tech switch to ultralisks. My computer's lagging a lot right now. That's kind of annoying. But yeah, like a tech switch to ultralisks is going to be fairly deadly at this point. However, oh wow, these broodlings actually do quite a bit of damage, 6 per. And of course the broodling strike itself does 24, so it's like 24 and then just 6 per second after that on whatever unit it hit. And yeah, these are scary broodlords. This is a lot of broodlords. But I feel like has the Viking numbers, yeah, there's 8 Vikings on the field, and I think those Vikings actually have superior, never mind, they have no upgrades. But now, he's producing 3 Vikings at a time, I do believe. Actually, he's producing no Vikings at a time right now. However, it's 10 Vikings versus slightly more Corruptors, but the Corruptors are grouping up on top of missile turrets, and they're just going to get absolutely destroyed in this engagement. Such an awful spot for the Zerg player to engage right there. He really needs to, try to pull them away from the Thors, try to pull them away from the missile turrets, make it have your broodlords be your leading forces, and have them just kind of like picking pot shots at the missile turrets, and then whenever these Vikings came up to hit your forces, just swing up with the Corruptors, destroy a couple of Vikings, and pull back. And that's really what he needed at that point in time. He does manage to snipe off a lot of units. He gets a couple of missile turrets down, but his bank is broken currently. There's nothing in there really. He's working on getting more drones out to mine a bit more. However, the fact is that he's only on 3 bases right now. The Terran player, I think, he's still a base ahead, but, how's the Harvester count? The Harvester count, I think, is actually in the Terran's favor, just because of how many mules he has. So he's going to be harvesting quite quickly. The income, of course, actually in the favor of the Terran player right now as far as minerals and gas goes. So that is not good for our Zerg player. Our Zerg player really needs to kick it up a notch and get back into this game, because at this point the momentum is kind of swung towards the Terran player. I feel like if the Zerg player really wants to do something, he needs to go for like a heavy tech switch right into ultralisks. Because if he can get enough ultralisks out, and if he doesn't have a whole lot of bank to get ultralisks out, of course. However, if he can get some ultralisks out, he will basically just crush the tank line and win the game. Because, ultralisks are pretty good units. Despite how powerful tanks can be, especially tanks in a line like that and how scary they can be, if you can get ultralisks, and especially if you drop ultralisks, this is something that you never see anymore. Like, you see the carpet bombing with banelings and stuff. I still think that carpet bombing with ultralisks is not used enough, because honestly it would be scary as hell, people just dropping ultralisks on top of your army. Interestingly, most of the siege tanks I think actually died in that other engagement, so there's no siege tanks left, there's no Vikings left. And our Terran player is not macroing well. He has 5 siege tanks on the way per rotation right now. However, you have a whole army kind of sitting here doing nothing. The roaches are just running into suicide territory. Why not? Yeah, I think that was definitely a misrally with those roaches going to complete incorrect position. And lag spike, but there we go, the roaches are back. And, man, this game is kind of close. 16 drones on the way? Where is he going to put all these drones? Aren't all his bases? Oh, this base isn't saturated. Alright, I know where he's going to put the drones now. However, you know, this isn't a great position to be in as a Zerg player. I think he's finally pulled ahead solidly in workers, which actually isn't that solidly because I'm pretty sure if there were 5 mules on the ground, it would be even as far as income goes. However, the Zerg player is like double the income right now, so I'm just going to ignore that I said that. We have the factory wrapping up and having to get lifted right away with the roach run by. Actually, that's kind of funny. But yeah, the roach run by. The Hellions are coming up here, going to try to deal with the roaches. Interesting choice. The Vikings are landing to try to deal with the roaches. However, I feel like this might be the game ender. This little tiny attack of roaches just stopping this base from mining, getting a lot of SCV kills. Wow. That might be like... This might be like the most anticlimactic game-winning attack ever. Because, you know, this game has been really kind of high octane from, you know, the 99 Zerglings getting cleaned up with 0 losses by the Hellions at the start of the match, and now you kind of just have a whole lot of roaches doing a lot of damage to one expansion. I think that might just turn the game into the Zerg's favor enough where he can win it, because that slows down the Terran player a whole lot. Oh, what the... This is 9 mules. So let's just watch the mule at work here. Yeah, his income's okay. I'm not sure if anybody else is just watching that income, but if you weren't, go back like 5 seconds in the video and just watch his income spike. He had like 80 income as soon as he dropped all those mules, and then it was like, boom, 2,000 sub. Mules OP. Everybody knows that. Now, of course, we have the Mutalisks coming out, and that's bad for our Terran player, because does he have any Thors left? I don't think he does. And without Thors, these Mutalisks will literally win the game. Yeah, there's no Thors. And Vikings are not particularly good against Mutalisks unless you're playing in campaign and you have the splash damage upgrade. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only time where you're like, what's the hard counter to Mutalisks? Vikings. You know, that's splash damage. However, yeah, this isn't gonna be good for a Terran player. This is a lot of Mutalisks. This is 31 right now. And that 31 is going to, I feel, rapidly boost up to much higher numbers. Actually already boosting up to much higher numbers. He's at 42 currently. And yeah, that's scurry. That's what I'm going to say about this. That does not look kind. And yeah, I think this is going to be it for a Terran player, because I'm not sure what else he can do at this point. His force just got absolutely cleaned up. He doesn't have any Thors on the way. And oh god, and there's the GG out of Polymath. Now, I've actually had a lot of frequent lag spikes in this video. That's fairly annoying. However, with Dread also GGing, and Polymath saying, wow, lots of tech switches. And that's late game ZVT. It's just solid tech switches from the Zerg, just trying to get those incremental advantages. You know, making you go for siege tanks, going right for Mutalisks, making you go for Thors, going right for Adrenal Gland Zerglings, making you go for Vikings, going for Ultralisks or Mutalisks or anything like that. However, yeah, you guys can head on over to Boisterous or youtube.com/user/boisteroussc2 to check out any more of the games I've commentated. You can send any games you want commentated into boisteroussc2@gmail. And just remember, guys, there may be a bit of a wait. I think it's like 2 weeks at this point. So if you send me a game, it might be 2 weeks, it might be longer. It's somewhere around that area. But you know, just trying to churn through everybody's replays. And you can click on the link in the description for this video and post any of your feedback into that Battle.net thread. I always love getting feedback. I always love getting it bumped up to the front page, because every time it gets bumped up into the front page, I get a couple more viewers, and that's really what I'm going for right now. It's just small little things. Also, remember to tell anybody you randomly see, all your clansmates, all that I'm willing and ready to commentate their games. If they ever need an outside opinion on anything that they have done on a game that they've really screwed up in, a game that they think their opponent played perfectly and they somehow won it. So anyway, yeah, this is Boisterous, signing out.